Have you already made Danielle the captioner, or do we need to have me do that as a host? I probably need to do that as a host, don't I?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Give me 1 second to get that done for you. Actually, Craig, while you're there, can you highlight a captioner, Dawn, and go ahead and make her the captioner? See if you can do that.
There it is. Thank you.
Should
Beautiful.
be able to do it. If you want to just give it a try, once you get in, we'll check this.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my ability to view them.
Right, so the video part's working.
All right, you're streaming live on YouTube. Can you make me the host back again, and I can make sure if anything else needs to be done, it gets done real quick?
Yep.
Beautiful, because I think I need to do one more step. All right, host is me. I can see the captioner is there. Let's do subtitles. All right, closed captioning is on now, so I should be able to see that.
Huh. I don't have a subtitle button.
It's there. I'm gonna.
As long as you can see it, that's fine. But I don't know. It disappeared.
I did not have it initially either. I had to go under more.
Yeah, I'm looking under more. Everything else is there, but not that.
Yep. Dawn, are you able to caption and run a test for us yet? Here it is, meetings Alzheimer's disease, and so I'm seeing it now. Are you seeing it now, George?
No. Oh yeah. There we go.
Okay, good. So I think she just has to start it in order for you to actually be able to see it. So we're in good shape.
Right.
And I will. There you go. Co-host just for now in case he needs to do anything. I can bring him back in. Do we want to test the captions to see if they're streaming on YouTube right now? We're about 5 minutes out.
It looks like something is streaming. I didn't.
She's doing it now, so it should start. You should start to be able to see it streaming out there.
Yep.
Excellent. That's all working. George, a reminder to record.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm going to go dark at this point. I think you've got everything else you need at this point, George. I'm going to go dark. I'm going to go mute. And if you need me, either sing out or chat, and we will take care of you.
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody.
George, I'll go ahead and I'm going to send you a chat with my cell phone number. I'll be here.
Okay.
I'll have this going on in the background, but just in case I don't hear you ask me something, just send me a text or a message on my phone and I'll pick up.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Craig.
Let's see.
Hey, George.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm good, thank you. So we'll get started in just a minute, but we are, just for everybody's benefit, we are recording, and this is being live streamed to the DARS YouTube channel. But we'll get started around 1.
Very good.
Okay, so we're just past 1 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is the meeting of the Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders Commission. I'll just do the housekeeping first, and then I'll turn it over to our chair, Laura Bowser, to move forward.
Good.
So due to the active state of emergency, this is an electronic meeting pursuant to item 4-0.01 of the 2020 Appropriation Act. Meeting notice has been provided. The meeting is being recorded and minutes are being taken. All votes will be conducted via a roll call of voting members. The meeting materials are posted under the Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders Commission's quarterly meeting tab at the link posted in the slide. Members of the public are able to live stream this meeting via the DARS YouTube page. Please be advised that if the live stream is interrupted, we'll need to pause the meeting until it's restored. Public comment was accepted up until this morning, marked to my attention by email or phone. Public comments that were received by this morning will be read or summarized during the meeting when we reach that agenda item. I am going to skip the Zoom functions, but just to remind you, please keep your microphone on mute unless you're speaking, which helps to reduce background noise. And also, before you speak, if you could please state your name, as this helps your colleagues on the commission know who's talking, but it also helps Cecily with documenting the minutes, and it also helps our captioner who's trying to capture the discussion. If you'd like to view the captions, you can access those by the subtitle button on your menu. If you have your video enabled, please be aware the system may capture your image and video in the public streaming and recording. And please only use the chat feature if you have a technical issue or other issue not related to the business of the meeting. Chat comments are not captured in the live stream or the recording, so are not available to members of the public. And for all votes, we'll do a roll call, and you'll be asked to indicate your support with an A or a yes, your opposition with an A or a no, or you may abstain. And I'd like to thank the DARS video conferencing team and the DARS communication team for making this electronic meeting possible. So I'll go ahead and do a roll call of members to confirm attendance. So just answer present when I call your name. Laura Bowser.
Present.
Travonia Brown Hughes. Karen Darner.
Present.
Chris Desimone.
Present.
Karen Garner. Rick Jackson.
Present.
Karam Khan.
Yeah, present.
Kim Kettner.
Present.
Carol Manning. Lori Philippus and her regrets. Lana Sargent. She was here. I think she dropped off. Margie Shaver.
Present.
Crystal Thompson also sent her regrets. Pam Teester.
Present.
Sean Williams also sent her regrets, and Carol Manning just came in, so I'll mark you as present. So Laura, we do have a quorum. I'll go ahead and turn that over to you.
All right. Well,
I'll bring up the agenda.
welcome everyone. Thank you so much. I know that this is not normally when we meet, so I appreciate the last minute. Let's go ahead and move the meeting to order. It's 1:06. I decided just to try and spare everyone's time, I think we can skip the introductions as we all sort of know each other, but I will next time with our longer meeting on June 8th, go ahead and we'll do the full round of introductions. But with that said, I want to go ahead and get started. As you know, we always start with a overview of why we're here. And so as defined in 551.5 through 154 of the Virginia Code, the role of the Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders Commission is to, 1, examine the needs of persons living with Alzheimer's disease and related disorders, as well as the needs of their caregivers and ways the state government can most effectively and efficiently assist in meeting those needs. 2, develop and promote strategies to encourage brain health and reduce cognitive decline. 3, advise the governor and General Assembly on policy, funding, regulatory, and other issues related to persons suffering with Alzheimer's disease and related disorders and their caregivers. 4, develop the Commonwealth's plan for the meeting of the needs of patients with Alzheimer's disease and related disorders and their caregivers, and advocate for such plan. And last, to establish priorities for programs amongst state agencies related to Alzheimer's disease and disorders, and to evaluate those programs. With that, George, I believe you have the agenda. So at this time, we need to approve the agenda. One slight change, I don't think the minutes from March 9th were sent out. So we will just go ahead and defer approving of those minutes for the June 8th meeting. So that will be the only thing that we'll remove.
Okay.
But otherwise, give everyone a second. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
This is Rick, a second.
Thank you. And I will go ahead and let George do a roll call.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. So yay or nay, Laura Bowser,
Yay.
Karen Darner,
Yay.
Chris Desmond,
Yay.
Rick Jackson,
Yay.
Karam Khan,
Yes.
Kim Cutner.
Sorry, do we need to remove, review, and approve meeting minutes, or can we approve as is?
So we'll approve as amended.
Okay, then yes.
Oh, okay.
Carol Manning,
Yay.
Lori Filippo, she's not here. Lana Sargent,
Yay.
Margie Shaver,
Yay.
Pam Keister,
Yay.
and Trevor Brown Hughes, you just joined us. We're just approving the agenda. So if you'd like to go ahead and vote to adopt the agenda with the amendment that the minutes will be reviewed at the next meeting, or no?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize. I was in class. I had to wrap that up.
No problem. Thank you. So Laura, the A's have it. The agenda's adopted with that amendment.
Okay, great. Now we come to the time reserved for public comment. George, were there any public comments that were submitted?
No, we didn't receive any.
Okay. Then with that, let's go ahead and move to the first big section of our agenda, which is the appointment of the nominating committee. So as you all know, under the bylaws, the nominating committee has to consist of 3 people. One's appointed by the chair and the other 2 are elected members. The committee will meet on June 8th, right before our next scheduled commission session. And it's scheduled to meet at 9:15. It was usually like a 30-minute meeting. It's really adventurous. It goes 35 minutes. And as you all know, that the goal is to appoint a chair and vice chair for 2 years. And this term will be, again, July 1st, 2021, and will end June 30th, 2023. The slate will be presented on the commission, to the commission in June, and then that will be the completion of the committee's work. And I'd like to personally thank Rick Jackson and Karen Darner, who have agreed to volunteer, as well as Karen Gardner, to be on the committee. So the hard work is already done for us. We just need to make a motion and move and approve those individuals to be on the committee. So
So this is Pam. I make a motion that we approve those individuals because I think that's what you're going to ask.
Yes. Do I have a second?
This is Lana. You have a second? Motion?
Then I will open it over to George and we can take a vote.
Okay, so the motion is to appoint Rick Jackson, Karen Darner, and Karen Garner to the nominating committee, which will meet June 8th at 9:15 to present a slate of officers. So please tell me your vote as I call your name. Laura Bowser.
Yay.
Travonia Brown Hughes.
Yay.
Karen Darner. Karen, you're muted, but if you want to give me a thumbs up or something, or a thumbs down.
Yay. Yay.
Okay, thank you. Chris Desimone.
Yay.
Rick Jackson.
Yay.
Karam Khan.
Yeah.
Kim Cutner.
Yes.
Carol Manning.
Yay.
Lana Sargent.
Yay.
Margie Shaver.
Yay.
Right. So there. And Pam Keister, sorry.
Yay.
Okay, so the ayes have it. So the nominating committee will consist of Rick Jackson, Karen Darner, and Karen Garner.
All right. Well, thank you all for that. And that moves us into our next session where we'll talk about the VCU Capstone project application. And I'm going to turn it over to Lana, who's going to review the purpose of the project and the application, which was sent out to all of us. And it's due May 1st, which is one of the reasons we had to hold the special call.
So thank you all for being here. Hopefully you've gotten a chance to review it. If not, I'll go back through it and open up discussion. George, do you want to share it or I can share it? So
yeah,
I'll bring us back in time. So for the data and research work group has been talking about how do we create a platform that is accessible and can sustain beyond our term, right, at the commission in a way that can connect individuals across the state, providers and individuals with resources. And that was one of the first things we talked about. And then we had another commission meeting, and I think it was Rick Jackson who was presenting, and we were talking about, it had kind of stimulated this idea that I had previously worked with one of my colleagues at VCU, works in the engineering department, which is closely paired with IT. And they run this Capstone project for students in which you can, which they do a lot of work with industry and nonprofit organizations to develop platforms such as this. And it seemed like a great match for something to bring into the commission as a platform for the commission to use, not only just for the data and research work group development of what we were developing, but also maybe potentially for the dementia capable plan and maybe some potentially other things. So we met with Dr. Pepperell, Thea Pepperell. It turns out that if we put our application in, we can also apply to be kind of a legacy, proposal, a legacy, program, in the way that they will continue to work with us every time they have a group, right? Also, the program has funding to support the students around certain needs that they have, to create these projects. I've worked with them on other projects. They typically the process is they assign a work group team that has a faculty, and if it's IT and engineering, they have 2 faculty, and they do a lot of needs assessment work. They'll go and directly work with, their partner, whether it be the industry. Sometimes they even rotate out into the clinical setting to get an idea what the need is for creating this project. So the idea was that we would put in this proposal they know we're interested and they've got a slot there for us. They understand that we have to, of course, talk about it as a group and put an approval in, but they know we're interested. We actually, George and I wrote this, but collaborated with Dr. Pepperell, making sure that we had the terminology correct, that we had everything that was needed in there. The idea is that we would develop it in tandem and in collaboration with the team that gets assigned to us. So they would likely be joining the data and research work group to work with us in developing that platform. And then of course it can extend out from there, beta testing and so forth. But this would be an app that could be created and downloadable for people's devices. That would be that platform that hopefully would connect researchers, providers, so forth, however we create it, depends on how we want it to look. And then we can still, as a work group, we talked about, we still have future meetings, sort of doing a needs assessment ourselves as for what all of those different individuals may need. So that would be the providers, the researchers, the caregivers, and the patients would want to see on that platform. So we may still have some work to do in the development of this, but we would at least have a potential platform to work with in that development. So that was the idea. They were all for and support of that. We filled out their, what you're seeing here is the Capstone application that we needed to complete. This is something George and I wrote up with Dr. Pepperell. And I'll open it up for questions or certainly concerns or anything to add to the current proposal. So they will provide the skill, they'll provide the resources that we need, and in turn, it's kind of a win-win. The students get a great experience and we get put in there as a legacy capstone to continue to develop things as they come out of the work groups in a platform that will be maintained and supported by them.
This is Laura. I just
So
want
to add.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Laura. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I'm personally really excited about this for a lot of different reasons. We've had, so many issues over the years with figuring out who owns what with the website, how do we maintain it? And then there's the issues and concerns around accessibility. Not everyone has internet, but a lot of people do have access to cell phones. So I just think that this is a win-win. And then just having the additional brain support of, college students is just awesome.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Laura said, and it's a great opportunity to develop something useful for consumers in Virginia at no cost to the commission or the department, which is fantastic. And really looking forward to harnessing the ideas that the students will bring.
This is Kim Kuttner with SEAL, and SEAL has had experience with Capstone and VCU before, and we've been so pleased. It's really a win-win and just positive experience.
Great. I'm glad they worked with you.
I do have a question. Is there anything in here, and I read through it, but I'm using different terminology, so I may have missed it, where it talks about the final product is demonstrated to us or to a certain number of people or a variety of people to indicate that it's working and that it's something that's going to be of benefit with the input that has been sought as they develop it, but the final product is something we've seen operated.
Lana, do you want to speak to that? Or
Yeah, I was reading
She's
to
looking,
make sure.
yeah.
You are correct that is absolutely the intention. What I'm looking to see is if it's clearly stated, right?
I know that was
And I think that's
my
what you're
problem.
getting at.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is the intention. That is an iterative process, right? That they are coming to us, building it, and then presenting the final right result, and then beta testing. That's typically the process that goes into development of this anyways. However, we can clearly state that. I don't think it really says that. It's a sort of assumed in the fact that that's how the students usually carry out that process anyways when they're testing something out, but we can make that in there. I think that may go under
proposed deliverables, or
yeah. App would need to generate data or user engagement. Do you feel like that covers it, or are you looking for something?
yeah, I think we sort of assumed that was part of the process.
I know, I just was hoping we'd be clear.
Maybe in that second bullet point on deliverables, Lana, app content would need to be modifiable by ADRDC. We could include that it would need to be approved and tested, something like that. Approved, tested, and modifiable.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is add app content would need to be modifiable, approved, and tested by ADRDC, right? RDAC. So modifiable, approved, and tested. And does that get at, Karen, does that get, okay.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's good to be explicit.
George, this is Rick. Let me ask a question. So we all know that the servers and the resources and all the people involved in providing care changes on a somewhat frequent basis. So once we've completed it, developed it, had it approved, and gotten it out, who's going to assume a responsibility for periodic maintenance and updating of it?
So that's where the legacy comes in. That was like one of our first questions is like, is this just sort of a one-time project and then we're let loose, to try to have to manage it? We can become a legacy project, meaning that they will have future teams continue to work with us to update it, or potentially even develop other projects with us, right? Or expand out if there are other things that we want to develop.
Great, thank you.
I cannot, say how long we can be. I mean, it would be nice as long as the program's around, right? We hopefully get to be a legacy, but they have other legacy projects that they've been working with, albeit, private or nonprofit, that they've built into their program anyways. And I think they like that because they're often looking for projects. So if they have sort of a standard group that they can always go to, they prefer to have some legacy projects that they have students that are continuing to work with, right?
That's fun.
It gives us some stability, I think.
This is Travania Brown Hughes. So I think it's an awesome idea. I think that it's needed. I think that it will make information convenient and also easily accessible. I just one question that I have. So with the app itself, you will be linking individuals that may be interested in research to potential or to researchers in different areas. Is that correct?
I think
so you're not
conceptually,
necessarily recruiting, you're just linking the researchers and participants together.
Exactly, just linking. We used to have VNI. There were some other consortiums that tried to make, sort of a repository of what research was happening across the state available. but we don't really have that. So it's a bit of a gap for us in connecting individuals or even providers, right? Knowing about what potential research they could encourage their or could link their patients with. So other than, we have some searchable engines, like we can go to the NIH.gov site and they can search, but it will be up to us to create something that's user friendly, right? But it can be difficult. You have to have some knowledge in what search terms to put in and those types of things. So hopefully the idea is that we develop something that is specific to Virginia, right? And if you go to NIH.gov, you're going to get everything across the United States. So something that's specific to Virginia, to the Commonwealth, and maybe something that's a little bit easier to search and identify. And that's just the start. The other thing we talked about is the potential of including the dementia state, the dementia capable plan in some format too. But the nice thing is that the conceptual idea will come from this collaboration. So what it looks like and how it looks, we're going to need everyone's input, right? And ideas.
And then my other question is, in terms of the content that is allowed to be displayed or that individuals can access utilizing the app, will any of it have to be approved by like an institutional review board versus, because I know that some universities are very strict in terms of even when you try and advertise a study, the flyer has to look a certain way. If there was a researcher, could the researcher's face be shown? And then, information about a study or in terms of making, I guess, the app culturally sensitive, do you all have in mind how that might be achieved? And then two, will there be like a bilingual version of the app in terms of, since you're trying to target underrepresented minorities, so that, if there is someone from, let's say, the Hispanic community that wanted to learn more about research and, would that be available to them as well?
Yeah, I think all those are good questions. I don't have answers for any of them, but would you like to join our work group?
Sure. Just let me know.
I think that those are all the brainstorming ideas that we're going to need in order to create something like this that has an interface, like you said, that is usable and accessible. And we'll probably have some compromises, I guess, as we kind of walk through everything. But I agree about the IRB, I would imagine, and anybody can add in here. But, every study has to have all of their advertising materials IRB approved anyway. So they would only be able to share things on the app that have been IRB approved, right? Like a statement and we did Pam and I tested out some flash presentations, and we don't know if media will be supported on this type of platform or if it's just going to be, images, flat images or, potentially just a flyer for something, but those are all things we have to walk through. But I agree, there would probably have to be some screening that happens. Maybe the data work group brings that on, like making sure that before it's posted up there that, it has been IRB approved. We have a kind of a checklist to make sure before it's advertised up there. Those are all the steps. I think that would be the next step. We have to, if we move this through, then we'll have to put a list of sort of things together that we have to start tackling, right? And brainstorming about all of those things that we would have to do to get this done.
And
I have
Lana, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Pam.
So Lana, like Trey, I'd be very happy to help you with the IRB issues. And I've run an older adult registry as well, or actually run one. So I'd be happy to help you think through some of that I was offered.
Thank you.
So this is Carol. I have a question, and maybe I missed it because I got a call. But how, does this mesh with clinicaltrials.gov in some way?
We could certainly make a link out. What Thea said was that if there's anything that links out to a website, we can put it in the app.
Uh-huh.
So if we, we just don't want to make it a website that we have to maintain, right? So something that's already, I think, like you said, clinical the nih.gov or clinicals.gov website
So
already has.
clinicaltrials.gov is what I would suggest among those.
Okay. Is that the one with the videos already on it about?
That's the one where anyone who's doing a clinical trial, you list it on there. And so anyone across the country, but you could say Virginia only if you want,
Right.
is on there. And so how are people going to know about it?
Well, we talked about, George is smiling because George and I talked about that. One of the things we talked about in the work group was we kind of had a twofold conversation. How do we have a platform that links people to this, makes it accessible? And then the next one was, can we or should we have some sort of meeting or, hold a meeting that allows us to sort of not only get some feedback from the community that may use it, right, to help develop it, but that may also be an opportunity to advertise it or get it out there, I guess, but we can't do that probably until we're done with it. But
who do you, in your perfect world, where would this sit? Who would be using it?
It would be downloadable from the App Store, so it could be anybody who wants to use it, right? So I would see the users being caregivers, patients, and providers, and I guess there could be others in there, or researchers, right? So I see those probably, and people add in the 4 stakeholders that we would have to involve in some of the discussions around, what this might look like or how it would develop. But those are all individuals who could be using it to search or use it as a resource. Certainly, if we put the dementia capable plan in there too, in some way in the same platform, it would be usable to all of those stakeholders too.
And
in addition, it will also not just connecting people to research, but also to resources. So things like the dementia roadmap that we're developing would be accessible through this as well. And the idea is that this becomes a broader platform for dementia capable Virginia.
And do you anticipate collecting data on it or through it?
There is an option to do that. I think we have to decide that as a group. There are ways to collect data through the app, such as user interface data, right? So how many times people click or download or connect. And those are all things that we'd have to talk about as a group as it develops. And then what data would we want to collect or follow?
So those data would be just who's using it, but I wonder if it could actually down the road become an app that you actually do the research, that there's a link in electronic IRB submission, and then you actually do the research, collect data by asking either caregivers or patients or whomever questions, that actually becomes a research collection platform as well. It sounds like that's a next step. But
that's a good idea. I think I think we need some brainstorming time to think about, all these ideas. I think that's a great idea, because we talked about it as a group, how difficult it is, right, to get data collated, and it could have an interface that we would have to decide on what that would look like and what it would what we'd want to collect. But I think it's something that could be included in this.
So, Carol, are you talking about maybe tying it into REDCap or something like that? So
exactly, that's exactly what I was thinking of, George. Yeah.
We just have to think about, Carol, what kinds of, I guess I don't want to use the being trying to brainstorm here, but I am curious, kind of what kinds of data would you put in something like that? Data
well,
points would you want to collect?
If you're, and I'm happy to be on whatever meeting or whatever group works on this, but if you want to know, if you want background data, or you want, it could be any kind of research that you do that does not require being in person. So any kind of questionnaire, any anything either with patients, caregivers, or other researchers where you're actually trying to understand something about people who are dealing with the disease. So if you think about it, any of the research that we're doing online or even paper and pencil stuff that we're doing in person, you could do through REDCap, it sounds like through this.
Potentially.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea as well. I think that my only caveat or concern would be this idea of informed consent, and at what point within the app would you post the informed consent, and then two, if you have, and how also you're going to, I guess, advertise the app. Is it for informational purposes? Is it for the purpose of research? Because if someone utilizes the app and they're just looking for information, that might be a separate tab than someone clicks on who's interested in research, because I wouldn't want someone to utilize the app and think, okay, I'm just getting information about various resources, but then feel as if, I'm also participating in a research study, and that's not why I originally planned to, to utilize the app. So just making sure that you keep those groups separate and you're very transparent and as far as towards those who, may not want to participate in research, but they do want more information about whatever area, that there is, that they can get more information on, whether it's resources or brain health or what have you. So
yes, I agree completely with that, and that's stipulated by, you can't get that information if you don't get consent.
Right.
Yeah,
It'd have to be optional though, so that it wouldn't become a barrier. But the great thing about this discussion is I can see that there are still, it has just the platform has generated ideas of what we could do with it, and that it could be such a great resource for us, and how it looks and how it's designed is really up to us. George and I were thinking that it would still sit within the data and research work group to develop, and then we would bring things out to the full commission to share and then further brainstorm, and then kind of we would be the working group to continue to sort of move that forward. Would that operational process work for everyone?
This Kim, that sounds good.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
So the data and research work group may end up needing to meet a bit more often as a result, but
sorry guys.
Well, this is really exciting, and I think that there's just so many different ways that we can possibly develop this out, and partnerships too. I think we can pull in the Alzheimer's Association and different organizations that are working to develop platforms. I know I recently read about Genworth is actually creating a platform for caregivers that was really fascinating. And so I think there's different sources that we can pull from and just figure out what's out there and what people are interested in. So I'm excited by this. And I know that we have created a couple different changes to this document, and I wanted to be sure that everyone had a chance to fully review and feels comfortable with it before we move forward with a roll vote. So before we, any other questions?
I do have one. It just came back to me now. On the second page, it talks about anticipated skills required. I guess I don't understand how U.S. citizenship, what that means. Does it mean for the people who are preparing the application, or for those who are going to be doing the pulling together all the information and actually bringing the app to us? What does that mean? Or the language?
That was actually part of the form that we received. Those were the examples they gave of anticipated skills. So the skills that we're asking for are the bullet points. So we're not asking for U.S. citizenship.
Should we take it out then?
Sure. So that was, as I said, it was just the form.
Yeah, I think it's just a part of the form, right? Yeah, those are just examples of what they do is they give you this blank form and then they give you suggestions of things that might fit underneath those categories.
Yeah.
So,
So we can take those out when we submit it.
Well, yeah, or just that particular one, because I can see how, the listing of the others as examples, but that looks like it's not just an example, it's a requirement. And I don't know to whom it refers. So, but that's the question.
Yeah, so it doesn't. We're not asking for that. So we'll just strike that section.
Okay.
Well, great. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
This is Rick. I'll move that we approve it as amended.
Second.
This is Kim Cutner. I second that we move. I second the motion of approving amended.
Thank you. I will turn it over to George to do a roll call.
Okay, so the motion is that we submit this proposal as amended to the VCU School of Engineering for their capstone projects starting in the fall. Laura Bowser?
Yay.
Trevania Brown-Hughes?
Yay.
Chris Desimone?
Yay.
Rick Jackson?
Yay.
Karam Khan? Kim Cutner?
Yes.
This is Khurram. Yes, it's yes from myself.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you. Carol Manning?
Yay.
Lana Sargent?
yay.
Margie Shaver?
Yay.
Sorry, Karen Darner, I skipped you.
That's all right. Yay.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Pam Teaster?
Enthusiastic yay.
Thank you. So, yeah, that's a unanimous vote to approve this as amended for submission on May 1st.
That's great. And if anyone is interested in joining the work group or is passionate about, helping with this, let Lana or George or myself know. I think the more brains, the better. But I am very excited for all of the next steps with this. And now those are the two main things. Again, I appreciate everyone's time. I want to quickly review future meeting dates. So our next longer commission meeting will be June 8th, followed by September 14th and then December 14th. And with that, I want to open it up for possible new business. Any new business? Without any further items or any additional comments, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, I meant to say something about that one is necessary under 2021 for December 14th. It just has 21 and 20. And it leaves off the one on the agenda. I had that marked and missed it when I did the motion. And when you were talking about the dates for the future commission meetings.
Oh, yes.
Okay, you see that?
I see that, yes. We'll make sure that gets amended moving forward.
Okay. And then the very end of the agenda page, public comments reserved by December the 7th, 2020. I think that has to get amended to be whenever. So, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Karen.
We will update that. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, Karen. No, don't apologize. That's great. Thanks.
We aren't reading the small print.
I know. I had put my glasses on. Come without them next time.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, David. I don't seem to be
Got
able to stop the live stream.
You